Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod. Today's episode is called Brand versus Performance Marketing. A very interesting topic, but before we begin, as always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on all the podcast streaming platforms if you're listening. And if you're on YouTube, as always, hello, YouTube. A wave. I always do. It's become customary now. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification so you're updated. Our podcast released every Tuesday, and there's always new details and new content coming out. But let's get straight into this episode, which is brand versus performance marketing. I want to talk about this one because there are differences between brand marketing and performance marketing, but the idea for this episode is to help you understand that it's not one or the other. It should be both. It's not meant to be brand versus performance marketing. You can type that into Google and get loads of results and insights, but essentially it comes down to one key thing is both have to work well together. Now, it does change for some of the bigger companies out there and smaller companies out there, but for the majority, get it to work together. And this is why. So if we start with performance marketing first, a lot of our clients come to us and are really focused on performance. And when I mean performance, I mean specific measurable outcomes. So we're talking about return on ad spend, cost per click, cost per conversion. We're talking about an immediate action, immediate response from the campaigns that are typically determined by, marketing KPIs based on the objective of that campaign. So that is essentially what is performance marketing, what happens. A good performance strategy, performance marketing strategy is important because it ties direct to results and efforts, making it really, really easy for you to understand the impact of your marketing budget. What's working, what's not working, essentially. It allows brands to make the most of their budgets, create efficiency strategies to clear messages, understand where the return on investment is coming on, return on ad spend is coming on by platform channel. It's all about making that immediate impact with specific, clients, users, subscribers, whatever it is. Plus, it's easy to measure the success of. You've got clear KPIs, clear targets, and rather than basically a high level of awareness, you basically get a clear number of X money went in, X money's come out. And that is essentially performance marketing. And it's not sometimes money in, money out. It's money in, new customers or clients achieved if you're B2B. So it varies whether you're B2B or B2C. Now, that is where most clients focus their attention on marketing because that's what they want to achieve. And that is the role of a digital marketing agency. If you revert back to our previous episode where I said why you don't use a digital marketing agency is, when you do, that is what you want them to achieve. However, the problem with just performance is stagnation. Quite a few brands that we work with, some on this podcast, if you're watching or you're listening, might not even heard of because they could be local or it could be very niche. In the previous episode, I gave examples of clients like Spincare. So Spincare is basically vinyl players, vinyl CDs, vinyl covers. It's basically accessories for vinyl players. People buy them in abundance and they reorder again and again and again. But it's a very niche product because unless you have vinyl players and vinyl CDs, you're not really going to buy that particular type of product. Now, the product can be used for more than just vinyl. Obviously, it can be used for other elements and cleaning elements that the client found out of, but the main purpose for it is for vinyl players. That's why it's called Spin Care, the spinning and the care. I thought it was a good name. So you might not have heard of that, and you might not know that brand exists. You might have even bought the brand or accessories, maybe because they do sell on Amazon. However, you think you're just buying from Amazon. Essentially, you don't really care who the supplier is. Amazon is the supplier for you. So for that brand and or that client, for them, it's, performance, trying to get sales through. However, it stagnated the results because they were missing one thing. Who is Spincare? What's the why of Spincare? What is the brand there for? Why are they the go-to, accessories for vinyl players and accessories? Why should they be the trusted brand? Brand loyalty. We will go back as customers again and again and again to buy from brands that we trust because they have developed what we call the brand marketing element of it. So when I mean what is brand marketing, it's that high level approach that highlights strengths, values, emotions of the brand, focusing on growing basically awareness, the brand, its values, promoting and feeling the trust and warmth between the consumer and the brand. The brand marketing initiatives are often like splash initiatives, such as, provide the same types of feedback as data rich. So if we take brands like Nike and Apple, they often market themselves in the public square independent of any particular product launch in terms of what they do. They have spent years using brand marketing to create a public perception of that brand. Simon Sinek, the author of Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action, outlined this phenomenon saying people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. I love that quote. So these brands, Nike, Apple, spend millions marketing their why so that consumers purchase their products to align with this public image. And brand marketing just puts a name on that brand front and center of consumers' minds, creating that feel of trust, loyalty, as well as standing out as an iconic brand in a singular space. Nike stands out because it has to against brands like Puma, Reebok, Adidas, etc. Lacoste as well. Then you've got Apple that has to stand out against, Samsung. I don't know, good phone. Maybe Google Pixel, see a few other ads around. But, everyone has to stand out and elements. And they don't really promote the phone, they promote the brand and how it is. And I get it. We're talking about multi-billion, actually, in some cases, Apple, trillion-dollar companies. Because when you get to that level, it is about focusing on your why. However, if you are the spin cares of the world, and this is what we do for our clients, we help them focus on the why they need the product, why you do what you do, why you, that guy, is a specialist. Even Bobble Digital, we can go from a B2B perspective and explain who we are and offer our services. And we do that. We do marketing showcase events where we get leads from. We have lead forensics on our website. Again, it's a performance channel where we can get contact details of what's going on. We use HubSpot. We have our website, which ranks really well from an SEO perspective. So leads come through in. So we are very performance driven. Leads coming in. I want leads to come in because I know how many leads and pitches it takes before a client comes on board. And I know what my average, client value is. So when you have that information, you can get bogged down into just, let's just focus on the showcases. Let's just focus on our website. Let's just focus on the performance platforms that work for us. However, you'll notice that I do the podcast. And the reason we do the podcast is this is part of our why, part of our values. Our values as a company is to educate, not to sell. We're agile. So we have to showcase that we are experts in what we do. We believe in what we do. We know what we're talking about, which is why we have a range of topics, a range of guests that come on our podcast. I think we've done well over 100 episodes now on Bobble Pod. And it doesn't matter if an episode on YouTube gets 10 views, 100 views, 500 views. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not doing the podcast for, subscriptions and viewership or streams. It supports our why. It helps build the brand. Bobble Pod is an acronym from Bobble Digital. We also have our networking event called Bobble Bite Size. Again, it's Bobble, Bobble, Bobble. It's that brand, why, who we are. And the Bite Size is a networking event where I do a 15-minute, 20-minute talk. 2 people, once a quarter, they come to our offices, learn very quickly about a digital marketing topic that they can go away and insight. And that helps promote our why and our values of being an educational platform as an agency. So it all ties into what you're trying to do. So it doesn't matter if you don't have to be the Nikes and the Apples of the world just to do brand marketing. And I get it. When you're so focused on margins and return on investment and return on ad spend, you can get bogged down into the numbers, but then you're going to start thinking, and our job as an agency is to turn around and say, you're not doing enough about pushing your brand out there. So when we run a campaign on any platform, we also run traffic and brand campaigns as well. Because for tactics like retargeting to work, you have to drive a volume of traffic to the website. You have to educate, tell people your why, no matter what it is, whether you're B2B or B2C within that space of the industry that you work in. You have to give your why in the marketing. So that explains the two, but you have to get them to work together. It's not one or the other. And I understand it when budgets are, restricted, or when you've got to really focus on lower margins, as I just highlighted, then you can get bogged down into performance, and performance becomes everything, but you're going to stagnate. You're not going to be able to showcase forecasting and growth or scalability, which is essentially what you want to achieve. But that comes by getting your brand out there, the why, understanding who you are, letting your customers build brand loyalty, come back again and again and again. We did this with a next day delivery balloons client, still working with as part of our initial contract. And what we've seen over the 6 months is a significant increase in returning customers, from not having any customers to a significant increase in returning customers, building the brand loyalty for pushing out the brand campaign, even though the client wasn't happy about it because it was money wasted. Can see the intrinsic value when they come back again and again and again, because you're reinforcing your brand and who you are and what you do and your why, essentially. So you got brand, performance, you got to get them to work together. You can't just rely on performance marketing and hope that that's going to solve your problems for the long term. In the short term, yes, that's what performance marketing is, to get those immediate results, immediate actions, and you can build from that and scale. But if you want to start hitting levels you haven't hit before, you've got to understand the brand, marketing value, investing money into actually pushing your brand out there, and just your brand and the message and your why for what it is. That's what we do. We introduce our PR element. That's a brand element for us, is pushing our why. It gives information on who we are, the education elements that we do. It's not that difficult. Brand is not just about wasting ad spend on putting a nice video out there. You've got to have a strategic, clear message, call to action, and explain what your why is, essentially. Ultimately, brand performance, the share of common goal. It's about raising awareness, ultimately making them make a purchase for your product. Remember, brand marketing and performance marketing work better together, but the balance of each is up to the individual company. It's up to you in terms of how you balance that. Focusing solely on brand marketing will be costly, and it will be slow, and it'll be a real while before you see growth. So if you say, well, all I'm going to do is brand, and you're a new company or you're a young company trying to scale up, that's going to impact you, not just performance, by saying, all right, we're going to do brand this, we're going to do brand this, we're going to put this out there and that out there. Well, you will see results over time, but you've got to be patient then to see those results. And results won't come in if you're definitely not hitting the right message and communicating the right, why of what you are and what you do. While too much focus on performance marketing will drive immediate results, but it's that long-term loyalty and future sales. Basically what you do, and I've written it down here, is you're weakening demand generation efforts over time. That's the best way to do it. If you just focus on performance, you're going to get that customer come in and buy. But what about the long-term value of a customer? What's the average, or what's the lifetime value of a customer? This is what I try to get into the heads of my clients. Is it's all good to have a customer come and buy, especially if you're e-commerce. It's all good for someone to come in and inquire, but we want to create lifetime values of customers. If a lead turns into a simple subscription from a B2B perspective, but they only subscribe for a couple of months, was all that time, effort, cost worth it? But if they come on board and subscribe and stay subscribed for at least 6 to 8 months, at least you then have a good lifetime value of an average customer coming on board, and you can continue to build on the brand, the internal communications to get through to them. So remember, it's important to inspire consumers with a brand message, letting them understand your why, creating brand loyalty. However, there's a lot of point in, what I call burnishing your brand's credentials. If customers don't know exactly what products you're offering or what you have, then they're not going to know what you do. If you focus too much brand, if you focus too much performance, they don't know who you are and why you do it. So they're not going to build any brand loyalty with you. It's a balancing act. So even though the talk is brand versus performance marketing, it's not. It should be brand and performance marketing. And if you're right now thinking, well, we do a lot of brand and not performance, then you need to up your performance game to support all that brand effort work you're doing. If you're doing only anything just but performance and you're not doing any kind of brand work, then you need to up your brand game and explain you why. And you will, not immediately, but over time, start seeing improved results. Just got to have the patience and understand and really get to understand your why as a company. I hope that's been insightful and useful as an educational topic. I want to thank everyone for listening. We have some great episodes coming up. We've got some great guests lined up coming up, which is going to be fantastic as well. Well, my next guest is going to be Andrew from one of our clients, Ram Tracking, talking about attribution modeling. So getting into nits and grits of analytics. So keep an eye out for that episode in a couple of weeks' time. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell notification. Episodes come out every Tuesday. And if you have any questions, do send them to us using our handle across social media at Bobble Digital, or use hashtags, Mr. Bobble, Ask Bobble, or Bobble Pod to, tag us in, share content, take quotes of anything we've done on this podcast and share it out so we know that you are asking for it. And we do appreciate everyone who is using those hashtags. We are monitoring it, and that's why we feature it in some of our podcasts as well. Catch you on the next episode. Thank you for listening.